Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to show you how to properly season your brand new Blackstone Griddle. Now, if you guys are as excited as I am, I cannot wait to get this thing seasoned up. That way I can start cooking on it. A few things you're going to need ahead of time though. You're going to need your Blackstone Griddle seasoning. About $10 at Lowe's. We pick that up. You're going to need your paper towels. That way you can actually spread the seasoning around on it. And tongs to hold those paper towels, because you're not going to want to get your hands close to this once we get this all heated up. Now you got that? Have your favorite yellow beverage. All right, so I'm going to get this thing fired up and we'll go from there. All right, so we've got it all opened up and everything. First, you want to make sure you remove everything that you have on here. I want to remove my scraper and my little holder for it. Then you want to make sure you have your propane turned on. I do have it on. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn both burners on high. You want both burners on complete high. That way you want it really, really, really hot. Now you'll see when you unpack your Blackstone, don't be alarmed at the marks that you see on it. Them are actual weld marks, and every one of them will have those little marks on them. So do not be alarmed when you see that. Okay, so now I've got it turned on, I've got it heating up. I can feel the heat coming on here just a little bit. So we need to give it about a good 15 minutes for this thing to get really hot. And you'll see it starting to discolor a little bit once it starts getting up to temperature. All right, now you can see it's starting to discolor a little bit in the middle. That's perfectly normal, don't worry. It's about 320 degrees surface temperature right now. But we want to let this go a little bit longer because we want this as hot as possible. It's recommended to heat it up for about 15 minutes. Now it's a really cold day out today. Like I said, it's 41 degrees, so we're having to let this thing heat up a little bit longer. It'd be better on a warm day. But like I said, I'm ready to get this thing up and going so we can cook on it. So we'll let this go for about another 10 minutes, and then we'll get that seasoning put on there. Now, getting it this hot will not warp this, so do not worry. You're not going to warp or damage your Blackstone by getting it that hot. So we'll be back here in just a few minutes when it's up to temperature and ready to season. All right, guys, it's starting to heat up pretty good here. We've got about 5 more minutes on this. Starting to blacken pretty good in the middle. Now, one thing I would recommend you purchasing, I didn't mention this in the last video, but one thing I'd recommend you purchase is one of those infrared thermometer guns. That way you can actually find your hot spots on your griddle, because every griddle is going to have a hot spot. So far, it looks like right here in the middle area is going to be my hot spots. Around the edges, I can feel the heat difference around the edges compared to what it is here in the center. But we'll give it about 5 more minutes and then we'll be ready to apply the seasoning. Okay, now we've hit the 15-minute mark. I actually let it go a little bit longer than 15 minutes because we're out here in the cold, and I wanted to make sure these corners were getting hot enough. Man, and this feels good right here. Whew. So we'll get this seasoning out and we'll get it put on here for the first layer. Now you want to do 3 layers. So we'll get this smeared on here and we've got to let it smoke off. So let's get it on. Okay, now for the 22-inch, it is just 1 tablespoon. So we'll go ahead and put that right here in the middle. All right. And this is where you want to take your napkin. And you just want to smear this across here. You want to get a good even layer. You do not want to have it pooling anywhere. Now this will smoke, that is 100% normal. You want to get all of your edges. The back, all in the little creases. I say you want a thin layer across here. You don't want it pooling up anywhere. And again, all this smoke is normal. Now you're going to let this sit on here for a few minutes and let this smoke off. All right, so we'll let that sit there for a few minutes here until it quits smoking. So we'll be right back when it's ready to apply the second layer. All right, guys, I think we're good enough on this right here. I'm going to go ahead and apply the second coat. I brought you up a little bit closer on the tripod. That way I don't have to hold it with my hand. So we'll get this a good second coat on here. Let's touch this on here, get this spoon hot so the rest of it will slide off. Good enough. All right. Go ahead and get this second coat smeared in here. And again, just like the first coat, you just want a thin layer. And from the way it looks of it here on this little 22-inch, you can probably go a little bit less than a tablespoon. It recommends a tablespoon for the 22-inch, but from what I'm seeing here, I'm probably going to have to soak some of this up like I did a while ago. I thought some of it would come up with this paper towel, but it has not. Oh, I hate that sound when it scrapes. Makes your teeth hurt. All right, here we go. Like I said, you want to make sure you're covering every surface on the inside of this. All right, now I do have a couple areas that look like it's pulling up, so I'm going to take a dry paper towel here, and I'm going to try to soak it up. Not all of it, though. You don't want to take all of it off here. It looks like mainly in the corners here. And you want to be careful, too. Don't get your finger. That would not be fun. That'll ruin your weekend. Okay, so this is the second coat is on here. We're going to give this thing a few more minutes to let this steam off here, smoke off here, and then we'll get the third coat put on. All right, we got the second layer on here. It is done smoking. We're going to go ahead and put the third and final layer on. I'm putting just a little bit less than I did a while ago. It seems like the tablespoon is just a little bit too much. All right, let's go ahead and get this one on here. Same as before. You want a thin layer. Be careful, you will splash it on yourself. Okay, we've got the third coat on here. We'll give this a minute for it to smoke real good, and then I'm going to wipe off some of this buildup on here. Okay, you can see after 3 seasonings how much it took here. It took about half of this cup that you get. So that's not too bad. Alright guys, this thing has just a little bit left to go. Man, it is beautiful. Gosh, it looks good. I cannot wait to get it dirty with meat. That don't sound right. That's about done. I can barely see any smoke coming off of it right now. Alright guys, we've got our 3 coats on here. It is done smoking the third layer, which is great. This thing has a great finish to it. It's beautiful. Cannot wait to get something on here. Now what I'll do is I'll just wipe off some of the excess that's on here, and then it'll be ready to go. Now the main thing you want to remember is you want a thin, even layer. You don't want any puddling. But you want a thin, even layer. And like I said, minimum 3 times is what you want to go. Now you can, before you put your first layer on, you can wash this. You just take a soap and water and put a really thin coat on here. Just clean it off real good and make sure you completely clean that soap off of it. Then you turn it on, let it smoke off before you put your first layer of seasoning on. Now that I've got this all on here, I'm going to go ahead and turn it off. I'm going to let it cool down a bit, and because here in just a little while, I'm actually going to come back here and fire it up, and I'm going to do some chicken on it. Thought I was going to do smash burgers for my first one on here, but I'm going to do chicken on it later today. This weekend I'm going to do some smash burgers. So got the 3 layers, like I said, thin, even coats. Smoke it off between each time. You want this as hot as possible. You want this beautiful coat. Let me take you over and show you again. Look at that. Look how beautiful that color is. Cannot wait to get to cooking. All right, guys, that's the initial seasoning of the Blackstone 22-inch griddle here. This actually applies for all sizes of the Blackstone griddles. As a matter of fact, any kind of griddle, you can do this right here. If you got any questions or comments, drop them down below. I'll be happy to try to answer them. If you like this sort of content, make sure you like on this video, subscribe to the channel most of all, and hit that bell icon. That way you can be notified when I do future uploads, because I'm going to be cooking on this bad boy, and I cannot wait. And I'm going to be posting videos of it too. So if you like this kind of content, like I said, like and subscribe and hit the bell icon. Until next time, guys, stay safe.